invited an addict to come have lunch with us because we had to keep filming. And, sweet man, you can just feel them, even though they have issues, I could just feel his soul. But he was dripping blood from his nose onto the little surfboard table, and I was okay with it. Like, how could that be?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Crystal Clear Business Podcast. I'm Crystal Pravet, and today we have an amazing guest to share with you. Her name is Renee Dutton, and she has created the most remarkable kindness movement. I can't wait for you to learn a little bit more about her. Welcome, Renee. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Crystal. What a joy and an honor to be on your podcast.
Aw, it's a pleasure. I'm so grateful to be a friend of yours. I love watching all that you're doing, and you're making such a positive impact in the world. It's just such a pleasure to support someone that's so amazing, doing such beautiful things for the world. I love your passion and your purpose for all you're doing.
Back at you. Love you and what you're doing.
Sorry, audience, you may see a little bit of a love fest going on because Renee is so amazing. I absolutely love people who are leading with authenticity in their heart, and you get to learn a little bit more about why I love what she's doing when she tells you about some of the projects that she's created. But there is so much negativity out in the world that when you do come across
Yes.
someone who's living in their authentic alignment, when they're living their purpose daily, you can just feel it. It just resonates at a different frequency. So when I first met Renee, I was like, wow, she's so beautiful and put together, and I love her mission. But the more I've got to know her, I just love what she's doing, and I'm so grateful to be an ambassador for her kindness project that she's created. So let's tell them a little bit about what you're doing, Renee.
Okay. So I'm an author, have had some other ventures, but everything has led to what I'm doing now, which is the global kindness movement. Um, it's pretty big. It's a big thing. And we'll start with a big part of it is that I've partnered with the Los Angeles Tribune to do this massive, massive media impact, which is going to be an ongoing series of compilation books, of magazines, both digital and coffee table, of live global summits, of just getting positive quotes out in the world, just so much stuff. So that's a big, big part of it, at least the beginning big part of the global kindness movement. And then we're out in the streets filming and helping people. And Crystal, I have to say, you know that you have finally found your calling when you're okay with things that you just never thought you'd be okay with. So being thrown on the stage, yeah, whatever. I'm getting over that. But here's the big one: being out in the street with all the homeless people, and um, I invited an addict to come have lunch with us because we had to keep filming. And, sweet man, you can just feel them, even though they have issues, I could just feel his soul. But he was dripping blood from his nose onto the little surfboard table, and I was okay with it. Like, how could that be?
What do you think it was? Was it a mindset shift to where as you've gotten older, things don't bother you as much, or is there just so much love and compassion for that other individual that maybe that kindness bridged that gap to where you could now be okay with something because you saw their heart? What do you think it was?
Well, I think if it's okay if I say higher power, God, whatever that means to you, I was, I was getting my marching orders and I'm like, this is too big. You have to make it so obvious. And I got one thing after another. But that experience made me realize that what is out of my comfort zone can become within my comfort zone when it's what you're supposed to do. And
Uh,
we're all here to help one another. People that are not as put together, or you don't know what they've been through.
yeah,
And maybe we would all be going down that path if we had been through what some of these people have been through, and these conversations with these people on the streets and such. you know I wouldn't want that. My life has not been easy, but it hasn't been that.
that's true. There's always someone that's got it worse than us. And I found in some of my darkest moments in life that when I just went out and helped someone else, that it helped me feel better about myself. It helped me recenter, helped me realize that when you go out and give from just the kindness of giving, not expecting anything in return, just knowing that there's someone that's got it worse than you, and if there's even a little something you can do. Maybe it's you've got a sleeping bag in your garage and you're never going to use it, and giving it out to someone. I know I took some hats when I was in Vegas and we gave them out to some of the people that were standing on the corners so that they would have hats because it's so hot out there. And I just happened to have a couple extra of my branded merchandise. So I thought, I'm just going to give a couple things out here or there, creating little gift goodie bags to put in my car to when, you see someone on the corner that needs something. One day I had all these too many throw pillows in my house. And I was like, what am I going to do with all these pillows? And so I actually threw a bunch of them in the back of my truck or back of my car. And I thought, when I see someone standing at the corner next, I'm just going to ask, hey, do you want this like pillow? And I didn't realize like they were very grateful for a pillow. Sometimes it's these small items that we might take for granted, that we might have excess of, but it could be something that could change their life that evening. So I love that you advocate for kindness in all areas of life. It could be something very small, like opening up a door or smiling, or giving someone 100% tip. I know we talked about really being generous with tipping, but also there's things where you can be changing people's lives. Do you want to talk about that scale a little bit of how?
I do, but I
Yeah,
want to backtrack and just tell your viewers that Crystal and I were on a business trip in Vegas together. Just what, 3 days ago? It was
yeah,
three. It's all blurring, and that's so cute. You're out there passing out your hats, and I'm passing out. I had 100 little mini fans. Did you see the mini fans?
yeah.
It
I
was like
remember him from Los Angeles, from LA when yeah, at the Grove.
there. Okay, well, I had them in Vegas too,
Yeah,
but they ran out really fast in Vegas.
I'm sure they were probably so grateful. I actually took mine to Vegas. I had mine in my car.
Okay, so wait, now I forgot your question.
The question was to explain to our audience the scale of kindness. So it could be something very, very small, or it could be something life changing. Explain to them like the scale of that.
Well, what I'm going to tell you is that whether it's big or whether it's small, whether it's life changing or whether it just makes their day, it's benefiting you, the giver, at least as much as the recipient, because our bodies oh, there goes my flowers again. Oh well. We'll just roll with it. So your body produces a variety of chemicals when you do something nice for someone. It produces oxytocin, GABA, serotonin, and I mean it's like a full pharmacy of meds that our body produces when we do something nice for someone, because that's how we're wired. That is how we're supposed to be. And we kind of got taught the wrong thing. We learned things that put us in fear and fight or flight, and we came became more selfish and unhappy because it's just not the way we're supposed to be. But when you do these things, big, small, your body produces these amazing chemicals. And
Yeah,
and there was one time that my daughter and I did something, and it was the response was so intense that we felt incredible for 10 days. This is not a temporary thing. It lasted for 10 days.
that's amazing. You're right. It's a chemical cocktail that it's like you can either have these negative chemicals surging through your body or these positive chemicals. But what some people don't realize is you cannot heal when you're in fight or flight. So
Yeah,
if you are in fight or flight and you want to try to get your nervous system into a parasympathetic nervous system, doing things by acts of kindness could help create these positive chemicals, which could help you in the long run by doing something nice, even consistently. If, let's say, you wake up every morning and call one family member that you haven't talked to in a long time just to check into them, or maybe you decide every morning I'm going to go walk my dog and look for someone that I can hand a flower to. Like these little tiny things, if you could be consistent, it could really help get you out of that depression by creating these positive chemicals that are surging through your body. And you're absolutely right. It actually only takes 17 seconds. I don't know if you've heard about the 17-second rule by Dr. Jeffrey Fannin. He actually did the brain study on the process that I teach and train of the summit transformation, and he was
uh-huh.
able to narrow it down to a 17-second rule. So within 17 seconds, if we're thinking of something positive or something negative, the chemicals in our body begin to match based on what our thoughts are. So if they're negative thoughts, then the negative chemicals start surging. And that changes the chemicals in our body. But in 68 seconds, it changes the cells of our body. And this
Isn't
is
it
so
amazing?
so
Wow.
incredibly powerful because that's when you can create a positive manifestation loop or a negative manifestation loop. So I know that when you're in the act of giving, you can give something nice to someone. And then, like you said, you and your daughter were on that high for like 10 weeks. So
10
that
days.
10
I
days,
mean, I don't
10
know. I
days.
still get happy when I
Yeah,
think about it.
exactly. So it can create such a ripple of positivity that like
Yeah.
something more positive will come into your life and then a great opportunity will come into your life. But oftentimes people are operating out of that negative. So sometimes it's more of like I spilled my coffee and then I can't find my keys and then I stub my toe and I'm late for work. That's more of the negative manifestation, which people are more naturally inclined to have happen. But that positive manifestation loop is so important, especially in today's day and age where we're combating stress at levels that people have not endured ever before. The loneliness is becoming a new epidemic. Um,
It
Speak
is.
to how kindness offsets some of these.
Well, okay, so I'll address both of those, loneliness and how kindness can offset it. So, about, I think, 7 years ago, my divorce just gets finalized. I lose the house. The kids go away to college. I have to give away the puppy. My dad dies. It goes kind of like your life. It just is going on, and I had no voice. It just went on and on and on. And I had nowhere to live, and I find this beautiful little cottage up in Summerlin, California, right next to Montecito, Santa Barbara. And so pulling up my U-Haul, the place, it had the most amazing ocean view you've ever seen, but it was in bad shape. But I was so excited. I'm like, I can fix it up. Long story short, what happened is right after I moved in, we had the fires. So everything burned down. And then we had the floods and the mudslides. And everybody left, but I stayed. And I believed that, whatever, I'll make it through it. I'm not going to continue to run from life. I'm just gonna take it full on. And it was, I think, 11 days with the armed guards were the only ones allowed in. There was no way in, there was no way out. Um, the things that made me feel better were acts of kindness, whether it was somebody doing it for me. I went down to um, the little post office where the Red Cross had stationed, and they had some water and some apples. I didn't have any food. I just moved in. And the care and the love and the concern, the people saying, honey, are you alone? What do you need? Can we help you? And it was, again, I went home and I'm like, I'm good. I got this. And then it went on for a long time. So when I started feeling sad again, I just texted people, what can I do for you? I know you're not here. And they're like, actually, we want to try to come back. Do you think there's any way you can cut through the mud and come and try to pick us up, and we'll walk as far as we can? And we did this in my little two-seater convertible with my two neighbors. And again, it was just so gratifying, and it was fun. It was an adventure, and that kind of kept me going too. A
So
lot of different information there, right?
I love that. What was it exactly? Was it that story, or was there another defining moment that inspired you to create this kindness movement?
So the moment that created this is so tiny and so not monumental. And I started it about 10 years ago. But it started as the positive report and various things, and then it morphed into what I'm doing now. But what it was is I was out with a friend, and I noticed we're sitting in a lounge, not a lounge, it was a restaurant in a hotel, but they had a makeshift little bar, and the guy was so grumpy. I could just feel him. And I looked at my friend and I said, you know what? I'm going to change this. And I realized you compliment somebody, you give them a big tip, you tell them what a good job that they're doing, and it totally changed him. For the rest of the time I watched him, he was just happy. And I'm like, this is so cool. We're so powerful. We all are. We all have this power to help people and to make them feel better, and it doesn't take much. I mean, so that was not a big moment, but that was the moment.
I love that. I haven't heard that story before.
Well, that's a pretty little moment, but that started it. I went home and I started blogging.
Well, it just proves to the audience that it doesn't take this giant aha moment to create something that's in alignment with your purpose. And sometimes these little subtle things that life is trying to guide you towards, it becomes a big thing once you follow it. Had you
Right.
not followed that path, you could have been on a whole different path right now. But I really applaud you for seeing that grumpiness. And I love that. I love that actually, because
So
I
living.
think with the pandemic, it taught us a lot about connection. I think it
Right.
taught us that it didn't feel natural to be so isolated from one another.
Yeah.
And that disconnection not only felt wrong, but I think it reminded us, like, when we could go back to connecting in real life, seeing each other in person, it was so refreshing. Even the other day, I picked up something so simple and so silly as uh, I went to a restaurant and I got to use a paper, like actual menu. And I said, you know, how nice is it that we can use menus again? For a while, we couldn't use
One of those in a
menus.
while.
It was such a weird time to exist. There was so much transition happening, but sometimes that transition is can be converted into a positive. It can be a catalyst for something good. But
Yeah.
I just definitely know that how it felt wasn't natural. and that like this coming together process, that you're creating this revolution, you're creating this movement of kindness, where if we see someone struggling, we should say something, or we should do something, take action. There's a saying, something along the lines of like, it's not the evil in the world, it's the people who look away from the evil that's being done that are the true people that are creating
That's
that.
a lot about what I talk about, is
Mhm.
that you don't have to do any grand thing. You just have to be a little more aware of the people around you. And we'll keep this story quick. But so we got home, what, 2 days ago from Vegas. I ended up driving from these other trips over 800 miles. And my daughter calls me and says, Mom, I was wrong about the time that we have to be at this party. I'm her date. How cute is that? And I'm like, I'm still driving and I left at 5 a.m. and I haven't showered. She says, could you just put your makeup on in the car and get dressed in the car and pulling up? So I do it. And we are halfway to Santa Barbara and she runs over a big metal bar. And I have never seen such a mutilated tire, but we can barely get to the side of the freeway.
Whoa.
And we're both in fancy silk dresses, light colored. I'm afraid to even bend over to open up the trunk. And within 2 minutes, this sweet man pulls in, and it turns out he's a helicopter pilot, and he changed that tire in about 3 minutes. And then
Wow.
we got on we called AAA, and they're like, nothing's open on the weekend. And then my daughter gets on the phone. She says, there's a place a mile away. He said he'll stay there and help us. And he drove us to the party, picked us up from the party, and it was just so it was not a major setback. People are good.
They are. You have to believe that people are good. You have to believe in the good and kindness in people. Otherwise, when we revert to that default, if we're always saying, oh, people are bad, then that's what we see in the world. But when we see the kindness and we see the good in people, it just magnifies and it allows us to see the good in ourselves as well as the good in others. I love that story.
It was great. That's a very relevant, very new one. That's 48 hours.
Yes, and isn't it so funny how you were already late, you were already pushing it.
I
You
hadn't slept.
yeah, you hadn't slept. You've been in the heat. I know it was like 117 when I was driving through some of those areas back from Vegas. So um, I know that you must have been at this point where you could have broken down almost, but you allowed yourself. I can feel it in this story too, how you maybe reacted differently. Maybe the old version of you might have, gotten a little. I know that there's been times in my life where I've noticed myself reacting differently, and I love it. It's a much more positive way to react. And I think there's something to be said about when you train your brain by constantly looking for the positive instead of breaking down and saying, why did this happen to me? It's like, okay, what lesson can I learn from this? Or how can I use this to continue to move me towards the next step?
There's always a lesson if you choose to look for it. Always.
Yes.
And for my daughter, I was like, see, whatever you want to call it, I call them angels. You can call it whatever you want. I said, see, they're here. Whether in a person form or there is something here that takes care of us and helps us when we tap into it.
Yes. And so when we've got to see each other a lot lately. We got to
I
see each
know,
other at
right, right.
the Grove in LA at the Barnes and Noble, and then in Vegas, and then in Chicago, and then in Beverly Hills. I think we've seen each other in a few different places recently. But I have to say, I love how you have teamed up with the Los Angeles Tribune.
Oh,
They're
you're the
such
best.
an amazing group of individuals. I shout out to Mo Rock, their CEO. Shout out to their entire staff because
Love all you guys. Yeah.
they're all such magical people. But I want to say I'm continuing to watch your journey unfold. And I got to see you speak on stage in Vegas in front of this big, beautiful auditorium. And something about your light and something about your story is infectious. And it's infectious because there's just not enough people preaching positivity. And there's like the Los Angeles Tribune, one out of every 17 news articles is positive. Only one out of 17. And
That is changing rapidly.
I love how
Modoc is
they're
buying out all the media outlets and changing that.
yes. And so there are some multiple revolutions happening here to kind of spark this transformation that I believe our society is craving. I believe we're
Oh,
craving the positive. I believe we're craving the deeper and meaningful connections. I
me
don't know
too.
about you, but I'm so sick of the superficial stuff. Superficial doesn't resonate with me. I would
Not
much
all.
rather have a simple act of kindness. Um, I feel like it's so much more powerful.
And I think that's a big part of it is that we just all need to be more real and more comfortable with ourselves. And what that does is it gives the other person permission to be not real. I mean, I just knocked over a huge thing of flowers. Look. That's not very polished. You can't see it. But we're just all people going through this life. And the more real we are, the more that other people realize they can do that too. And your hair doesn't have to be perfect. You can make mistakes. It's okay.
It's so good. Yes. You have permission to be exactly who you are and have grace with yourself, but also have kindness with yourself and others. It's such a great way to operate. So before we close off this, because this was such a wonderful podcast, I'd love for you to kind of reiterate the value that if someone wanted to join the kindness movement,
Yes.
how would that benefit them? What would that look like?
Oh, so this has been in the works for just a few months, this partnership with the Los Angeles Tribune. But just about a week ago, we decided to pretty much give it all away. Not completely because it's a business and you'll go bankrupt if you give it all away for too long, but we have pivoted and we are now, I mean, you can get in and be in the magazine, the compilation books, with quotes and other things for $450. If
Wow.
you are a big business or a author or want to be an author, there are many other levels and tiers, but like this is not a compilation book. This is a massive global impact. It's there are global summits that we're going to be having on kindness that are worldwide, and just so much. So let me give you. This could take about 20 minutes. I'll just give you the website. The LA Tribune did a great job putting together the website and answer almost all questions, and it is thekindnessimpact.com. And Crystal is an official ambassador of both the Global Kindness Movement and the Kindness Impact. And if you put in her name with a C, right, Crystal? So all caps, Crystal, you get 15% off of everything. So this is big. It's red carpet launches. There's so much to this first book because we just book magazines, coffee table magazines, just too much to even say right now. Just pull up the website. You'll be blown away by the generosity of the Los Angeles Tribune. And um, these books, this everything will be ongoing about twice a year, but it's going to change after this first one. Plus, the first 100 people in with the book are founding members, and they will stay on my Global Kindness website forever
I love that.
as
And
founding members.
it's really important for people to understand, especially entrepreneurs, that people don't care what you know until they know that you care.
Oh, I love that.
And so, being a part of this kindness impact book is a way to gain visibility. It's a way to gain credibility, and it's a way to gain kindness into the world. So, if
Yeah.
someone writes a quote, they can use that quote and show that they were part of this book. And
Well, and we're going to post that quote everywhere. Again, it's so
yeah,
long I won't even get into it. But and you got me going now with the businesses. We're going to highlight those philanthropists and businesses with a interview and an article in the magazine, both online with huge distribution and the coffee table magazine. Um, there's just so much. There's so much opportunity here.
I just love it though, because as entrepreneurs, we should all have at least one give back. We should all have at least one thing that we do to give back to some sort of charity, some foundation, somebody less fortunate. And this is a really easy and tangible way for someone to get involved with a, a how can you go wrong with kindness? Like really, you there's no side effects from kindness. There's nothing negative that you're going to get back. Maybe some good karma, or maybe an extra angel
You
on your
know
side saying, "Hey, I got you next time."
that?
But by doing this, like the entry level of just having a quote, you could write your own story. You could be in the press. You could be on the red carpets. You could become a sponsor. I'm sure we would love to have some great corporate sponsors that would love to become a part of this movement as well, because
Yeah.
when you get this kind of visibility, you're going to get to be part of the Los Angeles Tribune. You're going to be in the magazines, the newspapers, the maybe even the TV shows. I mean, I know that there's a lot of stuff that's going to be
A lot going on right now. Yep.
continuing to grow from this movement. So
Yeah.
um, if you know someone that would benefit from being part of this kindness movement, I would ask you to share this podcast episode with them. Let them know that there's an opportunity for them to save 15% by using my code, which is very generous of you, Renee. Thank you
So
for,
again, CRYSTAL. But if you have any issues, there's a contact help on the website. So
yeah.
and let's do the website one more time. So the kindnessimpact.com.
Okay, so thekindnessimpact.com, and then they'll enter in the code Crystal, C R
Crystal, all
Y S
caps.
T A L, and they'll
Yeah.
get 15% off any of the packages. So I love how you made it. There's introductory levels, and then there's all the way up to incredible VIP opportunities that will have a massive amount of visibility, media, and huge, huge notoriety that will come with some of these opportunities. So I love everything that Renee is creating. So the kindness impact is the website. Is there?
Kindnessimpact.com is the website. And then my website is the Global Kindness Movement, which will refer you to the Kindness Impact as well. But yeah, and I just want to say that we pushed it back so that it is coming out before the holidays. So if you want to, if somebody always says something, you could surprise them by publishing their quote.
Ooh, I love that.
You hand them the magazine with their quote in it, or if they've always wanted to be an author, the best editing ever is all included. It's a short way to become an author. It's not like writing a full book. Um, so, anyway, it is before Christmas. Keep that in mind. But the deadlines are coming up late summer, early fall.
And I want to tell you, you inspired my son and I. So
Oh,
just recently, because I was talking about, sharing a story with him, because I've already been in 10 books so far. So I was like,
great.
I would love to have him as a 16-year-old to be able to have his voice be shared. So I'm wanting to bring him in. So we kind of decided to do something together. We
Love
decided to do 100 acts of kindness. So
Oh,
we're
I
not sure
love
what
it.
those 100 acts of kindness are going to be yet. We're still in the process of kind of figuring that out, but it can be anything that we're going to make a little list and just start checking them off. And then that would be give him something really neat to talk about for in a story for the book. So
That's an amazing idea for a chapter in a book.
isn't
I
that
love
really cool? Yeah, but see how you're inspiring people to
love
interject
that.
more kindness into their lives already.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you, Crystal. You are the embodiment of kindness. You
Oh,
really
well, I'm so grateful that you created this movement because I think we do, as a society, need to move towards kindness and compassion and love for one another. It's really the root of how we are going to, find that unity in one another and having grace with ourselves and with others. Like you said, you were at that table with that gentleman and you were okay with things that you didn't think you would be okay with. And I challenge
yeah,
the audience to find ways that they can be okay with things that maybe they
yeah.
wouldn't be okay with in the past.
Plus, I know we've all heard this, but it is so wise and so true that we are wired to seek comfort, but the best thing you can do for yourself is to be comfortable with being uncomfortable because it opens up your world. And those uncomfortable things, those people you wouldn't normally reach out to, you're okay with. I
Yeah.
just have to tell you one more cute story. Boy, I'm full of the stories today. So after 12 hours of filming in Venice Beach, I'm an introvert, and I said, I'm going to be so wiped. I just, when you're an introvert, you can be extroverted, but for a very short time, then you need to be alone to refuel.
Yes.
But after that 12 hours of filming, I meet my daughter who lived in Venice at the time, and she says, Mom, you can't walk to the car by yourself. It's dark now. It's scary out here. And I said, they are all my friends. And it was true. I was waving to all of them. She's like, oh, wow.
What a great way to reframe it. I love it. It's all about perspective, really. It truly is. Yeah.
This has been so much fun. Thank you.
Absolutely, Renee. Thank you for joining us, and thank you to the audience for sharing this with someone that needs to hear something about kindness. And I look forward to seeing you on another stage somewhere soon, Renee. I'm
Yeah,
sure we'll run into each other shortly.
very soon. Thank you again, Crystal. Appreciate it.
Until next episode, we'll see you all later.